Hi, my name's Rebecca, and welcome to I Am Montessori's The Great Toy Room Project. This video is on how to buy toys and looking at toys with a purpose. So, I have gone down the aisles recently of Target, Big W, Kmart, Myer, David Jones, and your dedicated toy shops like Mr. Toys, Toy World, Toys R Us. Um, and whichever else are out there, especially in Brisbane. And I cannot believe the amount of stuff there is. Um, so many of the toys on the shelves, especially in the prominent places, are useless. They don't have a purpose. They don't teach our children anything. They're not developmentally appropriate for the ages they're trying to sell it to. Um, so much stuff is licensed, which there's nothing wrong with. Characters from these type of movies for kids, but it's when everything else is added from a consumerism point of view that there was I think it was Dory, or it was a fish in a glass kettle. It did nothing. I couldn't believe the price tags on them, and you can tell that they are the toys that are in the Christmas catalogs, and they're the type of things that are going to be given out this Christmas. Now, my point of this video is to teach you how to look at toys that you've got now, toys that you're looking at buying, and how to make sure it's purposeful and that it's educational and your child's actually going to get enjoyment and something out of it, instead of having 100 things that they just get bored of after 5 minutes. And I hear parent after parent go on about how they don't understand why their kids won't play with their toys. They've got so many. Um, Look, the reason for that is usually because um, they've outgrown them, so they've already mastered it, or it's got nothing for them to master. They can't problem solve. They press a button and the machine or the toy does everything for them. Um, they really, really want to engage with the things that they play with. They either want to be able to create, um, or they want to be able to problem solve, and that's the point of play. Um, so you've got open-ended toys like Lego, and so when I say open-ended, I mean the Lego that's just Lego bricks, not buying the Lego projects, I guess, that determine or tell the child what they have to do, that are instructional. There's nothing really that bad with them, but why not just get the bricks and let your child create? Because you will be amazed at how long they will play with Lego, and how good it is for their fine motor skills, but also the complexity in the things that they create, um, without being told what to do, is sort of gobsmacking. Um, I'll post some photos of Liam's play space, I guess, later today, so that you can see. And also, obviously, over the last couple of months, he's been obsessed with blocks. And just so you can see the change, over 6 months, of his complexity in the level of detail in what he's building, but also experiences that he's had out there in real life, and how he's translating that into his play. Um, so Lego's never going to go out of fashion. It's always has a developmental appropriateness, I guess, for so many ages, even for us adults. That's why they have 99 on the box. So when you are looking at a toy, looking at it as its individual self. So what you want to ask is, what is the purpose of this toy? Think about it, look at it, and try and actually work out what the point of it is. So many times we buy stuff for our kids because we think, oh, they love the Peppa Pig movie, or they love Toy Story, they love this. Oh, I'm totally getting it for them, and we don't think about what's the point. What are they actually going to get out of it? And then when you give it to your child, they're like, oh, yay, excited. And then 5 minutes later, they're on to the next thing. So when you're bringing things into your home, or you're looking at buying things, work out what the actual purpose is. If you can't work out what the purpose is, don't get it. The next thing is, does it have an isolated concept? So when I was walking down these aisles, and I've got a few photos I'll post after this video on, the pros and cons of certain toys. I'll do little reviews on them, I guess. What is an isolated concept? So many of them had so many buttons and so many points to make at the one time. So there were things where it was about shapes, it was about colors, it was about different noises, all in the one thing, which is overwhelming for a child, but it also means that them understanding the concept, each individual concept, is unlikely to occur because you haven't isolated each of them for them to actually cement, concrete, master the understanding of that concept. So if you want to do shapes, get something that just talks about shapes. Or something, I guess, that they can just learn the shapes. It doesn't have noises and colours and music all happening at the same time. Get something or make something that allows them to learn shapes, because that's the concept you're wanting to get across. Does it have a control of error? So when I mentioned earlier in the blog post during the week was, if you are missing pieces from an item, so if a puzzle is missing a piece, the control of error is gone. The child can no longer complete that activity correctly. They'll get frustrated, and they won't be able to see when something's wrong because they could put that other piece in that part that's missing, and the other part will still be blank. So why in a Montessori classroom we take things off that are missing pieces is because there's no control of error and we're setting the child up for failure. And we never ever want to do that. But also the control of error, imagine if you spent an hour doing an activity that you were really enjoying and then you got to the end of it and you couldn't finish it. Or a movie when we're an adult and all of a sudden the internet cuts out, or there's a blackout and you can't watch the rest of the video, or the game, this football game here in this household. If you can't finish it, look at how frustrated you get. Imagine a child with a toy that they can't complete. It's the same thing. Does it have a problem to solve? Is your child involved in the activity's purpose? So do they get to work something out? If it's just something that they press a button and the toy does it for them, there's nothing in there for the child. They will not engage with it because it's boring. It might last a little bit in short snippets, but at the end of the day, the child has nothing to do with it. And so things that have buttons and things that spin around just from pressing a button, there's no problem there to solve. So things like puzzles, Lego, building blocks, books, all of those type of things are forever toys. They're things that require the child to be engaged and to do something with. I'll post some of the photos of toys that are out there that aren't Montessori, but that do have that problem-solving ability in them, which is what you need for child engagement. And once you've worked out that your child's actually going to get something out of it, and you've worked out all of the above, work out if you need it and work out if it's age appropriate for your child. So a lot of the times when I do these makeovers, the toys that the child's got are no longer appropriate for their age. They've mastered it, they've grown out of them. So especially in that sort of 18 months to 2 year mark, they've still got all the baby toys around them and they are past it, and they're going through a lot of sensitive periods at that time. So your observation skills as a parent and working out what they need and what interests them is so unbelievably crucial, that you always want to have the next thing that's going to challenge them. I don't encourage people to buy stuff for kids sort of under that 2 year mark, because so much in their home that you already have, Tupperware containers with lids, tissue boxes with balls that can be put in and out, toothpicks that can be put into a salt pepper shaker. All of those toys will engage your children, or all of those things I should say, will engage your children for hours on end and cost you nothing, and you've already got them. So why buy stuff when they don't need it and when they are going to outgrow them so quickly? So, there are certain materials or toys that you can buy if you don't have the time to make it or you'd rather buy them, but they're really basic and you don't need a lot. So once you've worked all of that out, if your answer is positive to all of them, then get it. Um, but just be aware that you don't need a lot of stuff, especially if your child attends school or kindy or childcare. They'll be exposed to a lot of stuff in that environment. That when they get home, the simple the simple things can sometimes be the best. Okay, so I am online for the rest of this weekend. So if you've got any questions, you can Skype me, PM me, or text me on 0409 649 321. If you're out shopping and you've got a photo of something you want to send, I'm happy for you to send it through and I'll give you some feedback. Good luck on your makeover.